Hi guys, and welcome back to this odd 728. Well, I did talk to Stephen a little bit a wee while ago, and he did say he replaced both of those transistors with the regulators. He didn't realise they were TIPs, and he thought one was the 12 volt and one was the 5 volt regulator. And yeah, so whether he said he did like for like, so whether somebody had mucked it up beforehand, but I couldn't see it as it was running previously. So I'm not sure. But as we go on with this fix, you know, you have one of those days where there's some good news. There's not so good a news. And you just shouldn't have got out of bed. So grab yourself a drink, a few snacks, and that comfy old chair, and let's get on with it. Hey guys, so back at this power supply for the Spectra Video 728, and I couldn't get the transistors the other day, so I'm waiting on those. And what I am going to do, I'm going to have a track down the 12 volt side of things to find out what's going on there. I've come across a couple of anomalies with the schematics and the board. The schematics turn around for a version 1.3, and this board is a version 1.4. I haven't been able to find out anything about the version 1.4 that could be potentially different to this. But on the 1.3 schematics, it has a 78L12 or 12 volt regulator. Well, the circuit board doesn't have one. There's also a diode which is missing. Now, none of these parts are actually labelled with numbers, so I don't know what's going on here. The other thing I think is there's a resistor missing over here as well, and there's a capacitor missing over here. The rest of the parts are all there, so I don't know what is going on with this. I would need to, I have my own 728, but it's boxed away at the moment, and I'd have to dig it out to pull the board out to check it. I've been looking on the net, but there's no really good high definition scans of these boards. If anybody has one, could you please let me know? I just want a really high resolution picture of the top side and of the underside of the board. I want both of those, so then I can verify it with this board, and that's if you've got a version 1.4. If you have a version 1.3 board, I'd also like a picture of that too. I just want to find out what's the difference with these two boards, and I know for one is that they put a transistor in here instead of a resistor. The missing components over this side that aren't in here at the moment, they're all to do with NTSC for the video signal, so they're not an issue. It actually tells me that in the schematics that what they are for. But it's just weirdly concerning. I've been over and over and over this board. There are components in both the 5 volt and in the 12 volt circuit that are missing on this board. And that's why I'm saying I don't know if this board is right or not. Now, I do know they talk about a capacitor in here, and it's one that's here that's actually been added. It's soldered onto a jumper wire or jumper link, and it goes onto a leg on the IC. Now, that is listed on here, but they don't have numbers for it. And that's how I found it. It was 10 UF at 25 volts, I think it was. Which is this one here, I think it is. That's the one that's there. So it's like Some of these may have been added on, but it's hard to try and follow. But anyway, so what I'm going to do, as I was saying before, is I want to check the voltages and that on the 12 volt side. I'm going to check what I'm getting as a DC off these two diodes. So off pin 2 and pin 1 and 2, coming off that to the capacitor. So I'm going to check those and see what we got there, and then from there I'm just going to check voltages going through and just see if I can find anything. And if I find anything, I'll come back to you guys. Alrighty? But yeah, if anybody does have a high resolution picture of the boards, the power board, both sides, that would be really, really great. Okay? Right, we'll see you shortly, guys. Okay, guys, so I have pulled out all the transistors that are involved with the DC circuit. That's T7, T8 and T12. I've pulled out all of those, these ones here. I've checked T9 before, which is that one, and the other one I don't have is T5, which are these two here that I need to replace, which is one on here and one on up here. Those are the two I've got to get to replace. But they all test fine, so they'll go on the component tester and they all come up fine. So I'm at a loss as to what is causing the problem. The only issue I can think of maybe is one of the resistors or something has gone. Another thing that's puzzling me is this 7812 that should be on here that's not. And then I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, well, why just have a positive 12 volt and not a negative 12 volt as well? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. That's what I'm saying. I'm not 100% sure what's going on here. And the other thing is this transistor here, I can't find the resistor for it. But I'm going to have another go. It could be a miscoded part on the schematic. I don't know. But I'm going to have another probe around and look at the voltages now. So hopefully I can find out what's going on. I did notice that across the capacitor, it was giving me around 20 volts DC. So at least that, because it pulls in the 16 volt AC here, and then with a bit of filtering and that's dropped it down, so it's sitting at around 20 volts DC, which is good. And if we had a regulator in there, that would then give us our 12 volts plus. So I'm not 100% sure what's going on here. So I need to check these voltages and see how we go from here. Alright, I'm back shortly. Well guys, another day. I've got the transistors that I needed, the TIP 31 and 32. Another bit of good news is this 12 volt regulator and this Zener diode, I have found out where they are. Remember I said there's that bodge on this board? Well, let me put my glasses on. And where this resistor was that they'd put this transistor in, this is the 7812 that's in here. And what they've done is over the back here, where they've done this bodge here, what they've done is then this diode here, that is what they've done there. They've cut it out here and they've put a bridge wire in here to the diode. And the diode they're using is ZD2, which is not used anywhere else. So I've now found out where these are, and I've written a note on here so I know what's going on with those two. I still haven't found this resistor. Capacitor, sorry. That's a 1 UF 50 volts there, or 25 volts there. That could be it here, but it is quite a way away from the regulator and that over here that it needs to be. So I'm not 100% sure if that's the one or not. It very well could be. If it is, then I know where these three components are. So I tested the 12 volt regulator. I'm seeing a voltage on the input, nothing coming out, nothing on the common or anything. So I'm just wondering if maybe that's been damaged. So I got a couple of those as well. I got 2 of each just in case. So I've got those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the TIPs up here. I'm going to replace that regulator. And then once I've done that, I've already replaced the 741. I put a socket in and put a replacement chip in there for that. And as I say, everything else, all the other transistors have all tested fine. They test fine on the tester, not a problem. So, in all honesty, if I change this regulator and I put these two back to what they should be. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'll replace those, and then hopefully, once I have those on, we'll see some correct voltages over here. So those are the 3 I'm going to do, these 2 TIPs and the regulator, and then we'll try it again to see if we have any voltage. I'm hoping. If we get the voltage here, then I'll pop this regulator, this RF unit off, and I'll replace that transistor in there as well. And it should all be good, I hope. Anyway, I'll get ahead and do that, and then we'll come back. Okay? We'll see you soon. Alright guys, so I've got the 2 transistors on here now, and I've replaced that regulator. I've also replaced the wire on the back as well. And what I'm going to do is fire it up and just check these voltages, because this is the only thing I can see where there's a problem. The other issue, I think, is one's an NPM, one's a PNP. Both of them were mounted to this heat shield. Now I know one of them should have had a insulator underneath it, because it's insulated around the screw. It's got the little black plastic insulator around the screw, but then the back of it wouldn't be insulated on the heat sink, so that could have been shorting straight across those as well. So I have to find some micro washers to go on the back of this. I have got some, so I just got to find those. I'm pretty sure they're probably over in a thing over there somewhere, but I need to have a hunt for those to put one of these on that so they don't short to each other. But for testing, I think these will be fine just as they are, because it's not going to be on super long. And as I say, I just want to check it to check the voltage. So I'll plug this in. So that's plugged in there. I'll get the clip for this for our earth, and I'll put it onto our earth strap here. It's our earth. We'll get our meter and we'll turn it on to volts. Put that up there so we can see it. Unfortunately, these leads on the power supply are very hard, and they're very unwieldy, I should say, to stick them anywhere. I must put that back on again. Right, so what I will do is I'll turn this on now. Turn you off. Turn you on. Make sure the others are off. I'll power you on. And let's have a look at what voltages we have. 12 volts. Nothing on there. Nothing on that. We do have 12 volts. So those are our grounds. So we should have our yellow should be our 12 volt plus, which it is. Yep. Then the next one should be our 5 volts, which we have nothing on. Okay. Then the next one should be our minus 12 volts, I would say, which we don't have anything on either. Well, 30 millivolts maybe. Right, so we're heading in a different direction. Not getting too hot. So we've got 11 volts coming out of that, and we've got 12 coming out of that. So that needs to go. See, that's still giving us too much. That's giving us way too much. So I wonder what's going on with this. We should have 12 volts on 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 12 volts there. We should have 12 volts on 3. 1, 2, 3. We have 5 volts on 3. Okay, well that does. What was that? What's that? 42. What's coming in on here? There's nothing coming in on 42. That's just plus 12 volts. That's 0. And that's just 5 volts. And we should have 5 volts on 2. Which is there. Which is 0. There's nothing on 2. $43. Yeah, I'm a little bit. Yeah, 42 has nothing on it, which is the 5 volt rail. And 6 is over here. So that, on the base of that, 10.7, which going to the collector on here, it's 10.7, which comes down to here. The base goes through 55 to 6. Base is 3 point something volts. That's 10.62. Guess your 1K to that. ZD1 should be 5 volts. Yep, it's 5 volts, definitely. 5.1, which is fine. So that's giving us at 5.1 volts. So through 43. Okay, I don't understand. Okay, that. Okay, so that's working right. It's working okay. So we are getting a 12, but we're not getting our minus 12. So what is wrong here? Plus, but we've got no 5 volts either. So we've got no 12 going into... Is that going 12 in or 12? That'll be 12 in. Must be 12 in. 7. Yeah, 7 is 12. 2 should be 5 volts in, which is nothing. And 3 should be 12 volts, which is only 5. So whatever's feeding R41. R41 over here, it's 5 volts. So that's 12 volts. Oh, that drops it down to 5. Okay, that's biased. Alright, so that goes back to that to 5. Okay. And 5 volts comes in to 42. There's no 5 volts in. So that will not go to pin 2. So we're not getting any 5 volt rail. Okay. So what have we got on C? Nothing. On E, the emitter, we have 12 volts almost. And on the base, 10.7. Okay. Okay guys, so as I was saying, there's some good news. I got it up and running. I got the 12 volts, the 5 volts, and the minus 12. Although it's not sitting at minus 12, it was about minus 17, minus 18. But I could only get the minus 12 if I shorted the 2 white pins, which is the switch pins that I'm picking goes to the main board on the MSX for when the cartridge is inserted. So that's the only way I could find on getting that minus 12 volts to come up. So if anybody knows any different and that it should be on here, regardless, let me know, because I'm unsure. It doesn't really tell me. But anyway, it was all working fine. So I was with the help of one of our gurus on the vintage website on Facebook. We were chatting over Messenger, and he was saying, try this, try that, and I was trying all sorts of things, and then he had to shoot off and have some tea, and then I decided, well, I will just have a quick look, and I did some circuit tracing, and I realised the Zener diode over here at the back, which was D7, didn't have continuity to where it actually connected on, I think it was, where are we? Let me have a look. It's D7, which was the one that went to T6 over the back here, which I thought one I thought it was. And there was no connection between that on the emitter and the diode. So it wasn't getting a complete circuit to ground. So when I checked that, I thought, oh, okay, and the track looked fine, and so did the through hole that the diode went through. So I put a bridge wire across there, checked it, continuity, and then thought, oh, I'll try it again, powered it up, and away it went. And it had, as I said, 2 voltages with the switch off, which is 12 volts plus and 5 volts plus. But I don't get any minus 12 volts until I actually short those 2 pins together. And then it gives it to me. So I was quite happy with that. So yes, I got all that working. And then I was talking to Alistair, the chappie who was helping me from our Facebook group on Messenger, and he says, well, put a load across the minus 12 volt, so solder a resistor across it. It's going to get hot, but at least we'll be able to get a thing and see if the voltage is there. And so I did that, and then I was probing around over the back here, and Murphy's Law, I blew the transistor up. And that's the other bit to it. It was an almighty bang, and yes, I almost had to change my pants. And that was it. And then I lost the 12 volt. I inadvertently shorted the leg on the transistor, and it died. So I went through, and a couple of days later, my new transistors, and I got a full set of TIP31s, 40s, and the higher rated ones, and I got them through AliExpress, and these were packs of 5 of each, so I think it's 5 or 10 of each. So I got those. I also got me a big pack of the IN54 series, so I've got all of those, and that's the 01, 00, 02, 04 and 06. And I also got me a pack of transistors that had the 9015s and the 9014s in it. So I had all of those. So that was everything here. The only thing I'm finding really, really hard to get at the moment is this ZD3 diode. I can get them off eBay, but they're talking about the middle of next month before they get here. And we're just in the start of April now, so they're talking about the middle of May, which I'm picking is quite a long time. And I've checked with a lot of my local suppliers, Radio Spears, Elements 14, Mouser, J-Car, all those sorts of places. None of them have them. But when I do a search for something like it, they point me to Zener diodes, the standard Zener diodes. The problem I have is this diode has a minimum startup voltage of, I think it's 12.6 volts, up to around 13.4 or 13.2 volts max. Now, I've looked on the Zener Diodes website, or on the data page, and I find you can get 12 volt Zeners and 13 volt Zeners. So I'm picking, I might try a 12 and see if it works, or I might try a 13 and see if it works. The problem being is that diode should drop the voltage down. So it should limit it to within those voltages, and that is why I'm probably seeing 17, 18 volts minus on the minus voltage. So I think that diode is damaged from when those transistors was changed to the 7.8 and the 7.9 series regulators. So I haven't got any of those, so I'm thinking I might try the Zeners. And I mean, if the voltage drops too much on the 12 volt, then what I'll do is I'll try a 13 in there, and that it goes up to the maximum of, that might be fine. And it is only putting out about half a watt, which is what the Zeners will handle anyway. So I'll do that. But anyway, yeah, so that's where I am up to. So I did have it running, and it was running fine. And the TIPs weren't even getting hot without the heatsink, and it was running for a wee bit of time. But what I think I will do is I've got to pull out those mica washers and insulate them, at least one, if not both, and put it back on. But I seem to have, since I did that, I now seem to have lost the minus 12 volts again, and I can't pick it up at all. So I'm going to go back through this circuit down here on this side, and I'll look at replacing the 9014 and the 9015, and also the TIP32. I'm going to replace all those. The only one I don't have is that diode. So I'm going to have to dig out my box full of Zeners and pull out a 13 volt one and drop that in, and hopefully that'll fix it. So that's what I've got to do. So it was good news, guys. It was really good news. But hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Or you got to know when to leave things alone. Alright, guys, that's where I'm going to leave this at this stage, and I will get back to you as soon as I have fixed this problem. I have worked out also where all these missing components are too, in the schematics I was talking about, and I'm thinking about this sheet here. I'm looking at probably redoing it, and I'll be uploading it onto the net if anybody wants to grab a copy of it. It's only going to be the power side of it at this stage. I haven't looked into the video side. Now, with this, I did take this off and check that transistor, and there was nothing wrong with it. And I couldn't tell you what that transistor is because they file off the faces on them, so you can't read anything. Now, I've tried putting isopropyl on it and putting it under a microscope and that, but still nothing. But what I did is when I took that off, guess what I found? There was a little resistor down the side here pushed up over to here. That had gone. That's where the smoke came from. So I managed to find out which one that was by looking on the video circuit, and I replaced that, and it hasn't gone up in smoke since. So I think it might have been the voltage that was coming down through those regulators that cooked that resistor. The other thing happened is I changed the resistor on here for this transistor here with this one, because it looked like that one there was actually got quite hot when I did the short. So I thought best practices is to replace it. So I replaced it with the same same resistor and a 9014 transistor, and everything else seems to look okay. But I'm still not getting my voltages, my minus 12 voltages, even when I short the pins. So the only thing I can think of is it's this diode, and as I said, I have to try either a 12 volt or a 13 volt Zener in there. I don't have anything in between. Yeah, I mean, I could look at getting a pack of them, which will give me like 12.4s and 12.6s and all that, but it's the time they take to get here. I might as well just order the original ones. So I was thinking I might as well just use the Zeners I've got and drop in a 12, and if I get the voltages back but they're too low, then I'll pop it out and I'll drop in a 13 volt. That's where I'm up to, guys. So I can show you if you like. I'll power it on and just show you I've got the 5 and the 12 volts, but no minus 12, and then I think we'll wrap it up. So here we are, we're going on. This is the, I'll put my eyes on so I can see what the hell I'm doing. Right, so this is the 12 volt, which we've got 12.1. This is the 5 volt, which we have 5.1. And that's our minus 12. And it just seems to have a very low minus, less than a volt, minus 1 volt, and it just slowly bleeds off. But if I get me crocodile clip, if I can find it, and if I short, I'll just turn that off, if I short these two leads together, which is in essence what this does, this goes to the cartridge slot, these two white wires on the MSX PC, and what happens is that when you put a cartridge in, it shorts this across. So therefore, I don't know what it does something, but it used to give me minus 17 volts. So now we'll turn this back on. So if we come down here now, see, we don't have it. We've got minus, and it's just dropping away. So we have nothing. So we don't have it there at all. But we have 19 volts on there. And I'm pretty sure that's meant to be a minus, not a positive. So I don't know what is going on here. So I'm picking it. The only thing I haven't replaced is that diode, and that's the only thing left in this part of the circuit that I haven't changed. I've checked all the resistors that are in this circuit. I've checked the two capacitors that are here, which go from ground to minus 12 volts, and they seem fine. The 0.1 should be fine because that's only a filter. This is a bulk cap for stabilizing it. I could pull this out and probably change it, which I might do. But then the only thing that's left is this. But then, as I say, the only thing that's left here is this HZ12B2. That's the only thing I haven't changed, and that's the only thing I can think of that's causing me the issue. Because I have the voltage across the diodes fine, the two big diodes, the D5 and D6. I still have those voltages across there fine. And of course, that is also giving me across there my plus 12. Because this whole circuit gives me my plus 12, minus 12 and ground. As I said, that's the only thing I can think of that could be giving me an issue. Alright guys, as I said, this is where I'm going to leave it and dig out me Zener diodes and try one in here, and hopefully that'll do it for us. Alrighty, we'll see you soon. Well guys, there we go. So that's what's happened and where I'm up to. I'll dig out those Zener diodes in the next day or so and drop one in and see if that fixes my problem. And hopefully, as I was saying, we get that minus voltage up and in and around between minus 12 and minus 13. Not much more I can say about that, but what an interesting find. And as I was saying, the traces that I found where they look fine. You look at the board, and even under a 3 times magnifying glass, you can have a look, and they look fine, but there's just no continuity from the track through to where the component is. And that was the problem I was having on the 5 volt rail, is that IN41 series, the 007, that was going from ground to the emitter on T6, there was no continuity for the track from the emitter on T6 to the connection on the diode, for it to go across the diode and through the ground. So of course the circuit wasn't firing up. And as soon as I put a bridge wire from the leg of the diode to T6 on the emitter, the whole thing fired up and worked, and I had 5 volts. That was really good. And I did change one of the other a resistor and another transistor in the circuit, and after that, and got the minus voltages up before I turned around and did the numpty thing of shorting the capacitor and the transistor and having a brown pants alert. So anyway, I got that rectified, and as I said, I was lucky that my transistors turned up within a day or two after that, and I got all those replaced. And as I say, 5 and 12 plus voltages are fine. I've just got no minus, so that I'm picking it as that Zener. That's that HZ. So I'm going to pull out my diodes and give it a go, and as I say, hopefully this is going to fix the problem. So guys, that's the end of this one for now, and when we come back in the final part to this, the power supply will hopefully be all working fine, and we can see if there's anything has happened to the main unit. And if it has, I'm picking it could be quite catastrophic, so the main board in this unit might only be good for a display unit. It may not be functional anymore, because there are some components inside these that you can't get, and they were proprietary for these machines. The things like the processor, the video, that's all fine, but they ran a PLU in them, and it's not been remade. So I'd have to find a machine that has a different fault, that sort of powers up, and probably pull it out of that, and hopefully that is what is wrong with it. Following that, the TTLs are easy. You know, plenty of TTLs around to do. So I don't know, guys. I'm just hoping that it didn't go all the way through and it took out some stuff at the front there. But we will find out. And as I say, have a great day. Have a great week. And until next time, hope they don't blow anything else up. Ciao.